Hello everyone, welcome back to Anmol Astrology channel. Now today's video is about Mars retrograde, which is happening on 7th of December 2024, and it is going to be retrograde till 24th of February 2025. Now this we have to observe some of the factors that are there. One of them is that this Mars is going retrograde in the sign of Cancer. This is the sign of debilitation for Mars, right? Before we start with the predictions for all the ascendants and how this particular Mars is going to go retrograde in the sign of Cancer, first let's understand that what does a retrograde Mars does. So first of all, we are very clear with this concept that whenever a planet goes retrograde, it reverses its motion. It stands by at a place for some while, like for a few hours, for some planets, for a few days, for another. So it then reverses its motion and it starts going backward. Right. So typically, the meaning of retrogression is that there is some karma that is undone or that is left for one person to pay off. And then only the forward movement or the new events are going to happen for an individual. So during the retrogression, most of all, people try to retrospect what has happened in the past, right? What actions have been taken in the past? And astrologically, I've repetitively saying this when it's about retrogression, that wherever a planet is going retrograde, it is going retrograde because it wants you to look backward. It wants you to look at the sign which was previous to the sign where it is going retrograde, so that you know that there is some unfinished karma that is left in that sign. You have to fulfill that karma so as to bless this particular zodiac sign in which the retrogression is happening, right? And of course, there are going to be some karma related to the present position of the planet, which you'll have to pay off so as to fulfill the karma of the previous house as well. Okay, so it's like vice versa, it goes on that the previous house and the existing house both have some karma with associated with each other that has to be played off. So first of all, this is Mars retrograde. One more thing that we know about retrogression is that whenever a planet goes retrograde, it technically its orbit, not its orbit, but its position comes more closer to the earth. That's why it is more effective. That's why every retrograde planet is called as a karmic planet, or it has some karmic situation with it so as to be paid off. So that's why when Mars goes retrograde or any planet goes retrograde, it intensifies its situation. It intensifies its qualities. Right. So suppose, for example, a person has Mars retrograde in their chart, as in their natal chart, not in the transit, but in the natal chart. That means that Mars is a planet that has some heavy karma associated. Their life is going to surround around the planet Mars in the life. So that particular planet becomes of extreme importance in a person's life. If suppose it's Saturn retrograde, so that means Saturn is going to be a very impactful planet for an individual, for the native. If Jupiter is retrograde, that is going to be important and impactful planet. So that's why all the retrograde planets, whenever you have that in natal chart, that becomes the karma of your life, or that becomes a very important planet of your life. Then similarly, if this goes retrograde in a transit, then also that particular planet is going to, come out in the light in your life. So you have to deal with that planet, or you have to deal with things related to that planet in your chart. So when Mars goes retrograde, that means that Mars is a planet of action. It is the planet of energy. First of all, these people either feel very energetic or they feel very non-energetic, or lethargic. This depends on which sign Mars is going retrograde in. Now, here we have Mars going retrograde in the sign of Cancer, where it is debilitated. So, definitely, we know that in the sign of Cancer, Mars actually creates frustrations and lack of appropriate actions. Actions do not come out until unless this person is highly and deeply frustrated from the situations, right? So if you guys do not know how Mars behaves in the sign of Cancer, you can go back to my one of my videos where I have discussed how Mars in the sign of Cancer behaves. So when Mars is going retrograde, it means that you have to retrospect, or you have to look around, you have to look backward towards what actions you have made and how you have utilized your energy. What were your, I won't specifically categorize it to be into decisions, but what were your decisions that led to certain actions? So you have to retrospect them, you have to recheck them, you have to revisit, you have to rethink about your actions, and then make new ones. They make a little healthier ones. Right. So specifically when Mars is going retrograde in the sign of Cancer, since this particular placement is debilitated, it will actually intensify the situation. Now, along with that, there is one more misconception with this concept, that whenever a planet, a debilitated planet, a planet goes retrograde in its debilitated sign, then it starts behaving like an exalted one. So I'll just put up a very simple logic there, that just imagine that in the house, right, there is the sign of Cancer and there is retrograde Mars. If it is going retrograde, definitely it is affecting the opposite house, right? It is affecting the opposite house because it's more closely looking towards the opposite house. But you guys tell me that is it going to change the current house? Is it going to change the zodiac sign which is in the current house? If not, right? So how is it supposed to give exalted effect in the current house? That is not possible. So that's why whenever a planet goes retrograde, in a debilitation position, it doesn't mean that it is going to start giving effects in an exalted position. Okay, so be very careful of this concept and just get it, inside your understanding so as to predict for a retrograde Mars. So now, since this retrograde Mars is happening in the sign of Cancer, it means that there were some efforts that have been made in the past because of the previous sign being Gemini, and it would also categorize into one's communication that was there. And that is something that you have to look backwards to. You have to retrospect your actions. You have to look backward towards your actions. So now there is no longer that frustration that is there, that is there already with Mars in the sign of Cancer. So when Mars is in a water sign, it builds up, it builds up the trauma. It builds up one and another thing, one after another, and you certainly feel very low or very emotionally deprived, that you are unable to take any actions, you are unable to take any further actions. So now this frustration is actually because of retrograde Mars. This is going to intensify. This frustration is going to intensify to that levels that now you'll be like, I have had it enough. Now I have to put this into action. I have to get it done with. So rather, this is a very courageous position that is going to happen here. Very unlike of how Mars behaves in the sign of Cancer. So since this is happening, it can actually give mixed feeling to an individual. Just let's just do one thing. Let's just share the chart, right? So that we have a better understanding here. So see, Mars is going retrograde in the sign of Cancer and in the nakshatra of Pushya. Right opposite to it is the sign of Gemini. So this simply means that a person has to reach to that level where their frustration is going to, build up the whole building and then collapse. Right? It's a kind of transformation that you people are going to go through. And this transformation, this emotional building, this emotional trauma is going to now get you relieved of it. So because it is going to pile up that much, you'll be emotionally forced to take some actions and make efforts towards that situation. You know, you'll see this thing every time when you see a person with a native with malefics in water signs. Water signs, see, there's an ocean, right? The ocean is calmly just there, but when the waves come in or the earthquake comes in, right, then the waves are unstoppable. The tides are unstoppable. The water can actually swallow everything within it, right? So that is the situation what this Mars is going to create while going retrograde. It is going to make you look towards your past, that what actually led to this frustration, what events led to this feeling of not being able to express or not being able to do anything in life. So after a lot of thinking, a lot of back and forth mechanism, you are going to start making efforts and you're going to be rather more determined towards getting out of this frustrative situation. But also, along with that, since this retrogression is happening in the nakshatra of Pushya, Pushya is a very political yet manipulative nakshatra. It gets its work done with manipulation, with a little bit of, that nourishment, but also with political behavior. So, along with being courageous and being action oriented, you are going to choose the path of diplomacy. You're going to choose the path which is, a little bit out of the box. So that's what is going to be the theme of this particular retrogression. And that's how Mars behaves when it is in the sign of Cancer and it is retrograde. Right? So now, next, this is the Muhurata chart. So on 7th of December, in the morning, 5:01 a.m., Mars actually went retrograde. So the Muhurta chart, or the chart which is going to categorize as the theme of this retrogression, is the ascendant of Libra. So now, very clear to how Mars is in the sign of Cancer. How Mars is when it's retrograde. Mars is actually going retrograde in the 10th house. And it is going to affect the 9th house. So again, the meaning is very similar what I discussed before, that your actions are something that are going to reach that peak where it is going to collapse everything, and with that collapse like situation, with that, destructive situation, you are going to transform. You're going to look backwards towards your morals, towards your ethics, towards your actions. Were they ethical or were they not? And then you are going to use that understanding of your actions, of your courage, of your efforts, and then again, like a fresh start, you're going to make additional efforts towards your action and situation. And that particular efforts of yours are going to led by, of course, some sort of diplomacy, some sort of manipulativeness, some sort of out of the box thinking, and along with that, it is going to be action oriented as well. Like, for example, previously, if you were trying to, indulge into a situation, suppose, for example, this is a Libra ascendant, right? So let me first tell, Muhurta chart, whenever I discuss about Muhurta chart, I'm also discussing about that particular ascendant. So these are also going to be the predictions for the Libra ascendant. Okay. So when a person, for this particular individual, suppose they have had a very frustrating environment within their work, either if they are, working under a job, or if they are just working, they are having very emotionally uneven situation within the job. Maybe their bosses are not right. Maybe there is some sort of uneasiness, there is some sort of fights, competitiveness within the workspace, which has actually made you very frustrated. And because you somehow are not able to take any actions towards that situation. So now what will happen is that you will get back, you will look back towards how you have acted within that particular career situation or within that particular career environment, and then you will retrospect, you'll very intelligently, very cleverly think of a way out of that situation. So maybe very sweetly you'll approach that authority or you'll approach that colleague, and you'll talk to them in a very diplomatic way where they can't even do more worse to you, and even they can't get out of that situation easily. So it's like you are using your cleverness, your intelligence, and along with your emotional, emotional kind of consideration towards the person, that yes, I'm still considering you, I'm still thinking well of you, but I'm getting my things done because I am now frustrated of what has been happening since a very long time. Right? So that is a kind of situation you can expect for Libra ascendants, and also as a part of theme of this particular retrograde. Now, let's know that which planets are basically aspecting this retrogression. We have Venus aspecting this retrogression, we have Moon aspecting this retrogression, and both of them are aspecting with the sign of Capricorn and the nakshatras of the Ardhanishta and Uttarashar. So definitely this kind of collapse, what I was talking about, and this kind of transformation what I was talking about, that is not going to come easy. That transformation or that collapse is going to affect you very, very emotionally, very deeply, and it is going to make you very cold. It is going to, like, in a way, force you to get to go against your emotions. Your emotions are definitely going to get affected. There is going to again be a trauma that is going to build along with that, but again, with all of it, you're still going to fight, you're still going to get over what these situations have been. Now, another thing that I have seen happening a lot around, and also that is actually the part of the theme of Mars debilitation, that whenever Mars goes debilitated, there is always problems related to properties for an individual. There's always problem related to land, real estate, properties, and even the rates of the lands, rates of the properties also go down, or they, go in a very uneven manner. Right. So since this is an issue that most of the people are going to face, now this is the time for you to very independently work towards it and very intelligently, manipulatively, diplomatically get out of that situation. Right? So that is something that we see with this Muhurata chart. And also, we are receiving the fifth aspect of Rahu. So again, there is going to be some out of the box thinking and out of the box, you know, expression or out of the box effort that you're going to make, which might not be according to the societal norms, but you have to ultimately get through it so as to get your things done. So it's like a very, ever since I was actually predicting for the previous months, I did see that a lot of transits are not in the best place right now. They are into a very crucial position. And since we are entering the year of Mars next year, we are going to enter the 2025. I think this is happening for something good. Because Saturn, whenever it lands you into some sort of problem, it lands you there so as to get you out of it for once and for all. So I think this particular retrogression is also trying to tell this, that now it is not the time for you to be all disciplined, right? Because whenever Mars is exalted, actually, it is in the sign of Capricorn. It talks about discipline, it talks about righteousness, it's about right things, things in order, things how they are ordered. But when it goes debilitated, it means that you cannot go with the societal way. You have to change your mechanism. That's a quote actually goes very well with this situation, which we call in Hindi कि जब घी सीधी उंगली से ना निकले तो आपको उंगली टेढ़ी करनी पड़ती है. So that is the situation which this particular retrogression, or howsoever whatever transits are going around, these basically transits are trying to teach us that not everything comes with a good way. There are a lot of transformations, there are a lot of things that we have to experience for us to get what we want, not in a negative way, not in a stubborn way, but in a very righteous way. Okay, so if we talk about the sign of Libra, these people are going to experience intense situations within their career. So definitely they have to look after their ethics, their actions, their dharma, and they might have to learn some sort of life lesson before they fulfill the purpose of their career. Definitely, right now, I don't see the best of the positions with one's stability within the career and also one's emotional involvement within the career. So you might feel a lot of dissatisfaction. You might feel a lack of taking actions towards certain situations. But once you reach that, what do we call it, break even point, right? Then you're going to take actions for your own. And that is something that is going to help you for a very long period in your life, right? So be careful of your actions, be generous, and on the other hand, also be careful of yourself, okay, and of your actions. You will definitely be able to achieve whatever goals that you have regarding your career. But right now, all of this requires some sort of diplomacy, some sort of, manipulation on your end so as to get out of that situation. And this can also lead towards getting you a promotion, right? So if you are expecting a promotion by the end of this retrograde or within the time frame of this retrograde, you might also get promotion. That's because the lord of this particular 10th house or the sign of Cancer is actually aspecting, and then it is conjunct with Venus in Uttarashad. So it's like that you are going to mark your domain, you're going to mark your, you're going to put your foot down, and then you're going to work towards it. So it's a very workaholic kind of time for you. And at the same time, you'll be very obsessed towards your home environment also, right? Now, next we have the sign of Scorpio. For Scorpio individuals, this is happening in the ninth house. So, of course, the back and forth situation, which is going to happen for the sign of Scorpio, that is going to happen in between the eighth and the ninth house. So, right. So, since Mars is in the ninth house, you may feel that your luck is not working as you wanted. Yeah, it is not working in your favor. There is a lot of frustration towards gurus or towards father figure. You have to do something something, way beyond your own will, and you are forced to do something which your guru has told you to do. So it's like it's a lot of rebel situation or rebel scenario that I see within this particular transit. But when it is retrograde, it shows that there is going to be some sudden event in your life, a very, very sudden, a very transformative event that is going to actually change whole of your dynamic, whole of your situation, whole of your belief system. And I won't say this is going to lead you towards taking action, but this is more on a philosophical level. This is actually going to make you learn that how to refine your actions and how to refine your skills. So it's not that it is going to lead you towards a situation where you are actually acting, but more of like you are learning how you should act, how you should do certain things. And since we also have Moon and Venus in the third house, right now there's a lot of fluctuations within your mind. There are a lot of assumptions, and also along with assumptions there are a lot of fears that you have accumulated in your mind. So the answer to all of this situation is you putting your efforts, you connecting and you educating yourself with the adequate knowledge that you need regarding the matters you are going on within your life. This particular transit can also initiate travel for you people. Definitely, there could be some problem either related to your skills or related to like you want to follow something which you are passionate about. You might want to switch to that, but because of the situations that you're having or because of the people who are advising you, you are not feeling comfortable changing that situation, although you do want to do that internally, but you're not able to take the adequate action towards it. So for this time, it's a type of lesson that you're going to receive, that first, before taking actions, first I have to prepare myself, first I have to make myself stronger so as to go ahead with that position, right? And this also means that there could be some significant events or transformation that can happen in the life of your father, which is going to affect you very deeply, right? Now, the next is the sign of Sagittarius. So, since this Mars is in the eighth house and it is retrograde, and we also have Venus and Moon in the second house, this is actually a position or a axis that I can say which is there in a very it is there in a very negative way, but the outcome can be positive. Definitely, there can be some fights in your in-laws or within your inheritance. So there can be an extreme fight that is going to be there. Now, it just means that since it is going retrograde, you have to deal with something related to the seventh house matters. It's either your husband or your partnership, or it means that there is going to be a person that is going to gel in with you, or that is going to connect, join their hands with you, and then you are going to move forward to get resolved with this particular dispute, with your fixed assets, with your inheritance, or even with some insurance money, right? So, and this also shows that you might either obtain land or you are going to either obtain liquid money, because we have Moon and Venus in the second house. So, your mindset is going to be very practical during this duration. And definitely, it shows that you have to make efforts towards other people, towards negotiation. So, definitely, you are required to negotiate on your end with other people, or you're going to join your hands with someone and then try to negotiate for the problems that you're dealing with in your life. And most of all, this is related to some hidden matters. This is related to secretive matters, or it is related to secret finances. It could be joint assets with your partner, or it could be inheritance. Right? Now, the next one is the sign of Capricorn. So, for Capricorn individuals, this is happening in the seventh house. So, whenever this happens in the seventh house, Mars going retrograde in the seventh house, there comes a lot of possessiveness towards the partner. extreme control issues towards the partner, and that actually becomes the issues, or that actually becomes the conflict within the marriage. So this is showing that there is a lot of emotional conflict that you have within yourself towards the marriage. It's not that that is going around within the marriage, but it's more of like it's something internal that you are experiencing. Now, since this retrograde is happening, this is your time to retrospect what actions you have made, which actually led to this particular conflict in your life. So you will again either encounter with a partner that you might have broken off with, or you might retrospect the situation happened with a past partner in your life, and you are going to refine your your nature, your competitiveness, your disputes, so as to get better results the next time. Or you might want to resolve it with the previous partner this time, right? So there's a lot of neediness. See, externally you definitely are showing that you are a very strong person, you're very adamant, you're very stubborn, you're very much in your own power, but internally you are on a very softer side. So any dispute, any problem that you have experienced recently with a partner, or with a partnership business maybe, or with anyone, you're being bothered about it and you want to resolve it, but you are right now in a position where you are stubborn enough to not tell or do not discuss that, yes, I want to resolve it. But I do see that there is going to be an opportunity, since we have Jupiter retrograde, we have Mercury retrograde, and again, we also have Mars retrograde. So definitely you'll have to deal with past situations and the past people. And this, and there, whenever it happens, your actions are going to matter, right? So how you're going to communicate, how you're going to deal with that situation, that is going to matter the most, right? So it's the time for you to get done with previous situations rather than jumping into new relationships, because if you do, that is not going to work out nicely. Okay. Now, next is the sign of Aquarius. So for Aquarius individuals, this is happening in the sixth house. Whenever Mars goes retrograde in the sixth house, see, first of all, we know Mars actually does extremely well in the sixth house, but when it goes retrograde, it makes a person overly careful, overly evaluative. So right now, it's like you are in a very paranoid situation. You're in a paranoid situation because of perfectionism, right? So you want everything to be perfected in a certain way, that where you are going to feel that pressure building up within you. Because of this overly analytical behavior, overly possessive behavior, you are going to isolate yourself. You're going to go into that private space where you are not connecting with anyone. But since there is retrogression, and this retrogression is activating the fifth house, this can make you re-encounter with the past, re-encounter with the past person with whom you have had a conflict, you have had a fallout, or you have had a break simply. But now it's very important for you to use your intelligence in a good manner, so that you can rectify what wrongdoings have been done, because this would rather be your last chance with this situation. And since this retrogression is actually activating the fifth house is about intelligence. It's about how intelligently you take a decision. So if you want to know about, whether you are an intelligent person or you take your decision with utmost intelligence, that is where you look towards the fifth house, right? So since this Mars is going retrograde in the sixth house, it means that you have to first rectify your intelligence. You have to realize certain things about your decisions or the things that you have done in the past, and then you have to resolve this particular issue. But at the same time, I do feel that your health is taking a toll. Your health requires your utmost attention, and also for you to be very disciplined with your eating patterns, and also with your nutrition, because there's a lot of pitta energy that is coming in a very aggressive manner in the sixth house. So your digestive system can get affected with that. So be very careful with your digestion and digestive system, right? So now next would be the sign of Pisces. For Pisces individuals, this is happening in the fifth house. So whenever Mars goes retrograde and debilitated in the fifth house, you actually become emotionally quite frustrated. Not just emotionally, but this is a position that comes there for a very aggressive person, for a very control freak person. So for this time, since you also have Rahu in the ascendant, right? So you're going to very obsessively behave in your day-to-day life, and especially in your relationships. You're going to very obsessively um, get involved with your people, and you're going to be very extremely controlling, demanding, no, commanding, right? And but this can give you a very passionate relationship within your friend circle as well. But along with that passionate relationship, it can also give you a passionate conflict, a passionate fight, a very competitive one rather, right? So there's a lot of disturbance within the fifth and 11th factor. So I would suggest you people to be very careful with your love matters, and also with your interactions with your social circle. Although this position is extremely well, where you can gain, out of an situation where you must have reacted, you will ultimately gain out of it. It's like you reacted badly, so the result was bad. So not result, but the situation was bad, but result somehow favored you. So it's like a lucky position that a person can have for a bit of a situation, but the situation may not appear to be lucky in the very beginning, but ultimately the result could be well. Now, this is going retrograde and it is affecting the fourth house. So that means that there is some karma left with the home, with the land, with real estate. So if you have purchased a land, or there was a dispute related to land, or there was some problem, some dispute within your home, you will have to deal with it now. You have to deal with it, and then only you'll have to go further. And this could rather also be related to a property, which could be investment, which could be, investment in nature, right? And also it disturbs the situation within one's home. That's why it can give you a lot of fluctuating, mood, and also very fluctuating behavior within the home, right? But again, all of that is going to be triggered because of your obsession, because of your overthinking. So you have to relax yourself, you have to sit back, you have to meditate, and you have to get yourself, your subconscious mind and your conscious mind into your full control. Then the sign of Aries. For Aries individuals, this is happening in the fourth house, right? So when Mars goes retrograde in the fourth house, it makes a person extremely controlling. You will suddenly start feeling the urge to control everything that is happening in your surroundings, and especially when it is about your home and it is about your career. So your mind definitely is towards your career. There are some disturbances in your career which are affecting you emotionally, and but it can even make you be recognized. So definitely I can see a lot of opportunities for Aries ascendant to be coming in terms of their career in the coming future, right? But before that, you have to go through major transformations in your life. You have to go through transformations, related to your personal and professional level. Now, this retrogression is also affecting the third house. That means it is going to affect your travels. It is going to also give you some disturbances within your home environment. So there can be some fights and emotional frustration within the home, and you want to take certain actions, but you are right now, it's like your hands are tied and you're unable to take adequate actions. But right now, it's all about you thinking and retrospecting your actions, your efforts, your skills, and then only move forward with what you want to get done. This also shows me that there could be some fights related to properties, with a property or home within your within your family. So it's a very heavy time on one end, but again, I do see that this time is there for something good to happen in the future. But of course, this will actually make you extremely controlling and extremely dominating upon the situation. So that is where you need to find a balance. Right now, the sign of Taurus. So for Taurus individuals, this is happening in the third house. So whenever Mars goes retrograde in the third house Mars is actually a very courageous one, right? It is a very commanding one. It is sometimes very forceful and sometimes very, abusive as well. But here, this Mars is going debilitated. So it's like you something we call as emotional abuse. This can actually lead to that for the Taurus individuals, right? So for this, since it is going retrograde in your third house and it is affecting the second house, this is going to make you retrospect or think about your ethics, about your family traditions, and how they have brought in you up. So your speech has not been well enough since a very long time, or the collapse like situation that I was talking about, that is going to come there because of your communication, because of your style of communication. So definitely you're going to learn a lot from whatever situation you're going to experience in the coming time. So this is like that this you are going to mess up some situation which is actually going to make you learn a higher lesson, a lesson for life. So be very careful of your anger and especially of what you say out of that anger. And especially do not act out of that anger. That is going to be there permanently, right? So that's why just be very careful of your efforts, of your skills, and of your actions. Right? At the same time, it shows that there can be some emotional difficulty with the younger sibling, or the younger sibling must be, he or she must be experiencing some sort of difficulty within their particular life, and because of which they feel very frustrated. Right? So it can be either the cases. And also this shows that you have to work towards your health. There's going to be requirement of working towards the benefit of your health, right? And also you would want to control the finances of the family in some way. Now, next is the sign of Gemini. So, for Gemini individuals, this is happening in the second house, and also it is activating the first house. So, this is about, first of all, whenever Mars comes into the second house, it creates fights within the family. It creates fights within one's communication. Your communication is in a very commanding way, or you become very stubborn about certain things, because of which there can be extreme fights. But this particular transit is telling me that this is your time to actually retrospect your actions in secrecy, retrospecting your actions in a private setting or a private space. Right? You are going to realize a lot of things about yourself. You are going to detach from the people, from your home, from your family for some while, when, before finding the true effort that has to be made. Right? So this is rather a very difficult time for you, very difficult but very approachable time for you, where you might get very good opportunities when it's about your career. You may also get opportunities from overseas, and you will have to take some certain responsibilities within your career. But at the same time, emotionally, this particular transit is not the best of the transits you can think of. right? This transit can actually make you take certain, make you realize or think about certain actions that you have made out of the impulsive nature, right? Even your communication has not been the best for the previous month. You might have hurt a lot of people with your communication, with your, understanding and what you have communicated. So now it's time to learn about your actions, that whether they were right, whether they were not, and to rectify them now. Okay. And you are going to be in deep thinking because of that. Okay, so next is the sign of Cancer. So for Cancer individuals, this is happening in the first house, right? So a lot of frustration, a lot of um, uh, non-action situation that has been there. You wanted to previously, maybe you have been a very powerful individual, very action oriented. But ever since this Mars was there, your emotions or your mind told you or made you understand that this is not the right time to take the action. So you suppressed your actions somehow, right? So now this particular Mars is going retrograde. I feel for Cancer individuals, it's actually the double of the situation right now. Since 12th house is getting affected, this Mars wants you to go into your subconscious mind and think intuitively about your actions, about your efforts that you have made. Were they correct or were they not? But this does tell that again, you will get into a situation where you might not feel very comfortable, but you'll have to work around. You still have to work. You still have to put in efforts. You might not want to do that, but you'll have to do that. That is the kind of situation. So you might end up into a situation which is very uncomfortable, but you have to deal with that situation. You have to show your presence into that situation. At the same time, there can be some emotional conflict that you may experience within your partnership. Your partnership is not at the right track right now, or it's not in the best of the condition right now. Sorry, there is a lot of emotional conflict that I can see within the marriage or within the partnership for you. So, if you are in a marriage or you are in a relationship, this shows that you are now going to put your foot down. You are not going to, go with the partner's way anymore. You would want to go with your way. You would go into that rebel zone that now what I want to do, I am going to do, right? So, and that too, you are going to do in a very secretive manner, not like very announcing manner, but a very secretive manner. But of course, this is a time where you have to control certain actions or certain things of the life of your partner. Okay, so you would require to actually either work hard towards their life or help them with their life, right? Now, next one is the sign of Leo. So for Leo, this is happening in the 12th house. See, when we discussed about Mars transiting in the sign of Cancer, we just did discuss that how whenever the Mars goes into a not just debilitation, but it goes into a water sign in the 12th house, it is a very frustrative position. It's a position where a person is a sweetheart, they accumulate, they actually build in a lot of trauma just so as to keep other people happy. So now, what is happening for Leo ascendants? They are going to be fed up of all of this situation that they have been doing till now. Now they'll be like, now I need to get what I want. Now I need to gain from the situation. So I'm going to very intelligently and very carefully, very analytical, get out of the disputes that are creating that trauma for me. So it's like before, for a month or so, when, for what time Mars was there in the sign of Cancer direct, there was a lot of frustration. There was a lot of emotional trauma. There was a lot of emotional upheavals where you were unable to take actions, you were unable to get out of your bad situations, and you were just, you know, that I don't know what we call that in English, but जैसे इंसान अंदर ही अंदर घुटता है, that was the situation which was happening for the signs of Leo. But now they are like, we have had it enough. Now we are going to deal with whatever comes in. Now, very intelligently, I am going to get out of this situation, and rather, not just getting out, I'm going to gain out of it. So, whenever Mars goes retrograde in the 12th house, it makes you very clever with your actions. And since it is activating the 11th house, and that too the sign of Gemini, you are going to use out of the box situations, out of the box ideas to get what you want, right? But emotionally, definitely, this is a very conflicting time. Your health is going to take a toll because of this mental situation, this traumatic situation. You have to take care of your health. This also tells you have to be disciplined towards your health, or else you will face problems which happen on daily basis, like one day or the other. Like one day you're not feeling well, one day is fine. Then another day you're not feeling well, then again it's fine. So all these situations. Now, lastly, we have the sign of Virgo. So for Virgo, this is happening in the 11th house. So there was frustration, definitely, because it comes in with Mars getting into a water sign, and especially debilitation. But when Mars is in the 11th house and it is getting retrograde, you want to achieve or be recognized at any cost. People might defame you, people might act opposite to you so as to demotivate you. But now, because of this retrogression, you are going to think to yourself and you are going to prepare yourself for as to what worst can happen. And still, at any cost, you are going to achieve what you want. For Virgo individuals, definitely time has not been the best since almost a year now. But now, because of this retrograde Mars in the 11th house, you'll be like that enough is enough. Now I have to do what I have to do. I'll be stubborn, I'll be goal-oriented, and I am going to work towards it. And each and every action which might be required, if it is beyond my personality, if it is within my personality, I am going to do that. That is because this is retrograding and activating the sign of Gemini in the 10th house. Along with that, there is Venus and Moon in the 5th house in the sign of Capricorn. This is very, very determined. See, your mind is not going to be at peace, but you are going to act very intelligently. You're going to act very action oriented. Along with that, you are going to destroy yourself as well. It's like someone sent me something in a consultation a few days ago. They told me that किसी को जलाने के लिए खुद भी जलना पड़ता है. That is the kind of situation what this Ketu is going to make you do in the ascent. And this is a very last spark that Ketu is going to give before it goes away. And this is going to be there for once and for all. You have to put up a fight. Your mind is actually alarming you towards putting up a fight for wanting what you want or what you think is right for you. And you'll be able to achieve it, but you'll be able to achieve it in a very drastic way, very transformative way. So I would say all the best to you guys. So with this, we have done with the how this particular retrograde is going to affect all the signs. So let me tell you, once I saw a comment where someone said that, oh, is it all bad? Why are you saying all the bad things? Let me tell you guys that these transits which are happening is not happening for something good. There are a lot of negative events that are there going to be there for maybe something positive to come around. For some people, and for some people, it might not. But again, my my work or my ethic of work is to communicate everything transparent, with transparency. I don't feel that I have to just tell you good things, by saving you from the bad. Then how am I supposed to be an astrologer who's going to make you understand what you will have in your life? I always believe there is something way, way more effective than remedies, and that is your own understanding and your own karma and actions. So as to make you understand how your karma should be, I first have to give you a clear picture of what you might experience or what you are getting approached to, right? So that was my analysis. I hope you guys will find it helpful. So if you guys are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. And if you guys would like to have your personal readings, you can check out the link below, www.anmolastrology.com. And under the reading section, you can book a personal reading for yourself. And under the unique reading section, you can book a unique reading for yourself. Okay. So see you next time. Bye-bye. Take care.